What are the Planeswalkers? They're 6 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena, and we're finally playing the mono white deck. I'm not very good at making aggro decks, so when I finally got the wild cards to make this deck, I was having a real hard time. So what I ended up doing is I found a really cool list by this person, Sodek, from a Magic Online tournament, and I found that this one worked a lot better for me than the ones I was trying to make myself. So you know, all credit goes to Sodek. His name is up here in the thing. But this is a deck that essentially just wants to play a ton of super early game creatures and go under your opponent and just murder the crap out of them. So we'll hop into the actual cards. Running 4 Dauntless Bodyguards. These help protect our Benalish Marshals, as well as things like our Skymarchers or our Leonin. It just allows us to trade the least valuable body in combat. Skymarcher Aspirant is, you know, it's a 2/1 early. It's a Vanguard, as they are. And late game, you can make it fly and hit in the air. Snubhorn Sentry is actually a surprisingly good card. I didn't actually expect to be impressed by this card, but essentially, early game, you just allow it to block against pretty much everything, and late game, it becomes a 3/3. And by late game, I mean like turn 4, because we dump out 1-drops so quickly in this deck that we get Ascension relatively quickly. Leonin Vanguard is another one of those cards that I didn't expect to be very good, because it isn't technically a 1-mana 2/1. It is not a Vanguard stat, but we have enough cards that just swarm the board that this is almost always going to have that buff, and the fact that it gains its life is not insignificant. We can sometimes just be able to ignore our aggro opponent and race them because of Leonin Vanguard. Legion's Landing, very similarly, gives us a lifelink token, so we can kind of attack indiscriminately. We are running 4, it is a legendary card, but we want to make sure that we get this, like every game, having the ability to, 1, have pseudo ramp in a deck with only 20 lands, as well as have a card that can, if we get stalled out by control, just keep giving us some sort of value, some sort of fight in the game, is very valuable. Adanto Vanguard is one of the super annoying cards to deal with, unless of course your opponent is playing something like Moment of Craving. This card can survive pretty much any kill spell against control-y style decks, and it can just go mono-y-mono against a bunch of X3s, which is very nice. Pride of Conquerors is kind of our burst out spell. Again, we're almost always going to have the City's Blessing, so being able to pump our team by +2/+2 will allow us to get in those last points of damage. Benalish Marshal is a great card. I was thinking when I was struggling to make this deck like viable, I did notice that I played a decent number of Knights. This version specifically isn't playing Knight of Glory, but I was in my initial versions, or Knight of Grace, sorry, and I was like, maybe I should make a Knights deck, and then it wasn't great because of the fact that you wanted Benalish Marshal alongside potentially some green cards or some black cards or both, so you know, that line of reasoning didn't really work out. I might still explore Abzan Knights or something like that in the future, but for right now, Benalish Marshal, it's just a lord. It's a lord to all of your creatures. They don't have to be knights. Anything you have just gets larger, and it's very valuable. History of Benalia is just one of those cards that if you can land 2 of these in a row, it's so hard to lose the game from there. It gives you so much blocking value. It gives you so much attacking value since the creatures have vigilance. It is just so incredibly strong. I don't believe we have very many. Now, we only have 1 knight now, well, 2 knights in this version, so you're not going to get a ton of value, extra value from the 3rd chapter, but still, this card alone is fantastic value. Conclave Tribunal, as I've said in other deck techs that feature Conclave Tribunal, it allows you to add to your board and subtract from your opponent's board at the same time. Sometimes you have to choose, but with Conclave Tribunal you don't, since a lot of our cards are 1-drops. We're almost always going to be able to just play out what we'd want and still be able to play this Conclave. Now, that said, excuse me, it does take away from your ability to attack with those creatures if they're already on the board. But being able to get rid of a heavy roadblock is very important. So, you know, in the long run, it's going to help. And a single Ajani, Adversary of Tyrants. I've been playing 2. This deck only had 1 in the main deck and it had another in the sideboard. I kind of like 2 because you want to be able to like see it more games than not, but you are only running 20 lands, so the number of times you're going to effectively get to actually cast like a 4 mana card isn't as great, unless of course you're flooding, and you don't want that to happen. And then of course Venerated Loxodon, very similar to Conclave Tribunal. It allows us to add to our board and then add to our board again. you can play this card like on turn 3 very consistently, right? Yeah. So turn 1, land, thing. Turn 2, two things. Yeah. Turn 3 really consistently. And it makes all of your cards just slightly better. And when you're going to be relying on Pride of the Conquerors to just go wide and kill your opponent, it's just a very helpful effect. And of course, we're only running 20 planes because we're streamlined. We don't want none of that that Field of Ruin or any special lands. We just want planes. And then in the sideboard, these are, I went down, of course, on the actual numbers. These are just showing some of the cards that he played in the sideboard. The numbers, of course, are going to be different, but Baffling End, nice early game removal. Bounty Agent, I assume is for a specific card. I don't know exactly what it is, but, it gets rid of things like Bolas, Tajik, just there are plenty of legends running around that this does deal with. Dawn of Hope, I assume, is against control, where you are able to just annoy them by not casting anything else for the rest of the game and just giving yourself a huge army. I don't know how effective it is, but the dude went like 7-1 in that tournament, so. Takatli the Honor Guard, I think he had this as like a 4 of, and it's reasonable, right? It's technically a weak creature in that it's a 1/3 for 2, but you're getting a decent amount of value against the Golgari midrange deck because of how many cards of theirs are ETB, so that's why Takatli the Honor Guard is probably something you've seen all over the place. Mentor of the Meek, another card I assume to bring in against control, where you just need to make sure you have a steady stream of cards. And since your creatures are almost all of your creatures are super cheap, they're all like 1-drops, you're going to be, and their power, most of them, of course, is less than 2. You're going to be able to just tack on an additional card, like every time you cast it, or every time you get a creature, so. And then he had some more Conclave Tribunals on the side. But we're going to take these out because technically they affect our deck rating. And I am going into best of 1 with this deck because I'm real bad with it. I will say, I have like an affinity for White Weenie. Going against Mango 8. The reason is I play a deck called Death and Taxes, and this deck like evolved from White Weenie. Yeah, it's a good hand. Yep, fast dudes. I think we play Aspirant first. Adanto Vanguard, yeah. We got Death. Ooh, okay. Don't you dare! Now. Incredibly rude. I can't believe this. Alright, so Adanto Vanguard can die to a deadweight, but they used a deadweight, so hopefully they don't have another one. Yeah, so Death and Taxes is a creature deck that is actually a control deck. Oh, I assume they're getting rid of Vanguard here. It's a creature deck, but it's actually a control deck. Because the thing you do... Okay, that's a little frightening. The thing you do with it is... Ooh, that's a nice hit there. You play creatures that make the game really annoying to play for your opponent, like Thalia or Leonin. Is it Arbor? Yeah, Leonin Arbor in Modern. And in Legacy, you play Thalia still, and then things like Mother of Runes. Just ways to just bother the hell out of your opponent. And you slowly beat them down. That's why it's Death and Taxes. A lot of people have mischaracterized it as a like White Weenie beatdown deck, but it really isn't. At least not the Legacy version. You could make an argument that the Modern version is much more of a kind of beatdown style deck. Oh, it's so good. Oh, chaining them together. They didn't even see the second one. So good. But yeah, the deck was born from White Weenies. Instead of using the aggressive cards, it played the Hate Bears. It isn't a Hate Bear deck. Hate Bears is technically a different archetype in that it relies less on taxing and just more on playing really efficient beaters. So it's not so... I hate this reconnection thing. It's not so much now, but in previous iterations of... previous metas of Modern, you would have a green-white Hate Bears deck that runs things like... going against Warner here. What is that darn card name? Loxodon Smiter? Yeah. So it would play things like Loxodon Smiter. It would play things like the creature Transform Gideon. That's a good hand. And it would just beat you down with efficient creatures while having a few things that tax. Maybe you run some Thalias, maybe you run some Kozali Pride Mages. Those are cards that can help you out in those scenarios by being efficiently costed at being aggressive, but still somewhat annoying. So, oh, mono green. They decided not to keep it. Kind of down on. Yeah. We drew one too many lands. I guess here I Vanguard. Yeah, I think here I Vanguard. And then next turn I Vanguard. I Vanguard. Sure. Oh, maybe they're looking for another land. That's why they got rid of it. I think they did mulligan. They could keep that on top. Yeah, because my aspirants are going to get larger. Yeah, drawing too many lands. So we do this. And Vanguard. We are at... Do I want to attack? Yeah, I think I do. We're at 7. We'll be on 9 next turn, unless we... if we draw land next turn, we're going to go land Aspirant, so we'll be on 9. Let our elves, sure. They will be able to kill one of our Skymarchers. Oh, got Snubhorn. So this should be Ascension. And I'm fine triggering Ascension. Like, they get the kill on this, but I'm forcing their hand into playing that. So, I don't think I want to get rid of this Vanguard just yet. And I'm fine paying life here, because I'm gaining some. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, an opponent had to value the Llanowar Elves, but I don't see why they wouldn't just block with the Merfolk Branchwalkers. That's fine. Yeah, kill one of them. Should kill the untap one. My opponent already down to 9. They did mulligan, for what it's worth. I've been seeing a lot of people just like not killing the untapped things. Because I could block now if I wanted. I wouldn't, but I could. And this is game, I think. Even if it isn't, it's still just like real nice. It is instant speed, so. But yeah, I mean, we're making it so that they're blocking, you know, quote unquote, not great. And we wait to do this because they might think they're safe. They might save something. Nope, they end up blocking all, but... And I think this just saves all of my creatures. Yeah, so I don't have to do any fun damagey things. Oh, and they're dead. Cool. You know what? I think this is actually a good time to talk about net decking. Because functionally what I did, I net decked. I absolutely took this deck from somewhere else and pushed it into my video. Why did I do that? I am a mid-range player, right? I think I'm best making decks and playing decks that are somewhat synergistic and somewhat just playing powerful cards. Going up against Gonzalez 1986. I recognize my weakness as an aggro player and an aggro deck maker. I wish this hand had like one more land. You know what? No. If I could just drop these for 2 lands, I would keep this like that. No, this is a mulligan. It's a pretty easy mulligan. It's a pretty unfortunate mulligan. But, you know what? This is a fine hand, I think. That into... I think we actually play the landing first. Yeah, especially since they played that. We definitely play the landing first. But yeah, so there are a lot of people who feel an immense disdain for net decking. And for those of you who may not know, net decking is just when you take a deck and just copy it wholesale, whole cloth, whatever. No, how dare you? Ow. I am hurt by this. So I'm actually going to play the double Skymarcher here because it's better with Benalish Marshal. Yeah. I think that's reasonable. But I think a lot of that is unfounded criticism, in that there are, let's say, there are many more things, but there are like really two main pillars of skill in Magic: deck building and deck playing, like deck execution, right? Some people are better at execution than they are at building. Some people are better at building than they are at execution, right? I am significantly better at playing the deck, and I'm sure there are gonna be plenty of people who are like, yeah, but you suck. Oh my gosh, is it just like disconnected again? Yeah, because it says it's me. I can't do it. I hate. Why have you forsaken me? I mean, I'm on the internet, 100%. I did a bug report last time, but let me know if this stuff happens to you. I think there was someone who commented on yesterday's video that were like, yeah, this has happened to me. But like, why? I'm online, and Arena's just like, ah, no, you're actually not. So I think it'll get here, and then it'll tell me. Or no, it'll eat my thing. Can I? If anyone knows a solution for this, please let me know. I'm keeping this in the video because I think it's important for people to see that this happens. Also because I legit want to know if there's a solution to this. I guess I will exit the game. I'm leaving this in. I'm leaving this in. All right, while I wait for that to come back up. Yeah, you know, so I consider myself a lot better at deck execution than at deck construction, right? And I'm sure many other people are like me, in that they're much better at that. Why is Arena? Thank you. So stupid. So stupid. You know, like, it's a skill, and just like playing is the best way to get better at deck execution, building is the best way to get better at deck building. But another way to get better at deck execution is watching better players. Obviously then, another way... Oh wow, I didn't even get off my creature? This is freaking stupid. And they risk factored me, and now I guess they just made them draw a card. That's so frustrating. I guess I could have, like, left earlier? Oh, I'm actually mad. Anyway, so likewise to watching people play to get better, understanding why people build decks the way they do will help you build better decks. I'm just gonna concede this game. There's like actually no point at this point. Like, we're so far behind because we missed that, and we would have absolutely taken the damage, right? So there's no point really in finishing showing that that game. The frustration is real. Let me know if the only way to like stop that from happening is to concede as soon as you think it, or not concede, but like exit the game as soon as you think it's happened, because it's so stupid. So annoying. Going against Zepion. Yep, this is a fine hand. We're gonna start with Snubhorn Sentry. Dies to the least things. Well, I do want to attack though. Yeah, we'll start with Aspirant. Yeah, so I think it's a good way to learn to net deck, essentially. I think it's a little it's like unreasonable, I think, to expect everyone to be able to just build their decks and have them like be exactly how they want. Like, people don't want to build a deck and just get ran over. So what I typically do, right? I typically don't end up just copying a deck wholesale and doing nothing to it. Usually what I do is I find a conglomerate of deck lists that are similar to my idea, similar to what I want to do. And I look at, you know, what the commonalities are between all of those decks. And I say, okay, so obviously this skeleton, this baseline of the deck is important. It's like the key features. So I'm like, okay, I put those in, and I say, okay, this deck is playing this, this different deck is playing this. I'm greedy. So many 1-drops. What could possibly go wrong? I guess we'll Legion's Landing first. So yeah, and then I kind of just like play with different combinations of those extra cards, or the cards that maybe I wanted to play that weren't in that version, right? So you know, I get a feel by playing the deck, experimenting with the deck for what cards work for me and what don't. Even though technically it started off as kind of a Frankensteinian net deck, it still ends up being yours. This is bad. Alright, everything's fine. A part of me wants to just, like, scrap this video. But I'm not going to. Oh, man. And the main reason is, I think it's important to showcase that Arena is still in beta. And they still have problems. No blocks. Need the land. Let us go with Aspirant Vanguard. So next turn we could Loxodon. If we get a land, we can Benalia. I mean, our opponent's gaining a ton of life, and that's real bad for us, but meh. Need one of those Conclave Tribunals. We are luckily also gaining a bunch of life, so I could kill that. I don't want to. Could Loxodon. But I think I like... Oh, I guess I could still Loxodon. Yeah, I'm gonna Loxodon. I can start getting in with Skymarcher. I'm still gaining a decent amount of life every turn. I can now use Loxodon to block any of their non-Wild Growth Walker creatures. So, I think we're still in a good spot. I think I said everything I needed to say about net decking. It's an important resource. That's bad. Yeah, especially since my opponent could, if they wanted to, just like finality me. If they finality me, I'm just like actually dead. So that's interesting. I don't know if I agree with that. Ooh, Benalish Marshal is real nice. I'm pretty sure I'm going to Loxodon again. But I would like to tackle that. So let us Loxodon. And we are going to Loxodon this. And these, I think. Unfortunately, we still get destroyed by finality. But can't really do anything against that. I'm fairly certain we have just lost. I wonder if you can hear my pain. Well, I can make a 1/1 every turn. Yeah, we're gone. We're gonna play another game, because that was atrocious. Very sedate name. Tom. We have lands, we have spells to cast. Look at that sweet pixelated shadow. Oh. Another white deck. I wonder if this is actually Boros. It might be. But we can Benalia into Loxodon, so that is helpful. Selesnya, okay. Token strategy. Yep, Amara, sure. Not really a reason to attack here. That was incorrect, because it pretty much allows me to attack with my Vanguard for free. I wouldn't want to attack into this, because I'd have to pay life. And, yeah, I think I want to do this instead of Loxodon. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to stop it. But if my opponent had the Witness up still, then I wouldn't want to attack, because they could just block and get, like, free value. So they shouldn't have attacked. So I'm on 7. Next turn I can Snubhorn Loxodon. And I'd have 1 more. So I should have Ascension next turn, right? Yeah, I'm not even paying attention to what my opponent's doing. Sure. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, yeah. Do I want to kill that? I kind of do. No, I think I'd rather just have Ascension next turn. Am I fine just taking a bunch of lumps to make sure all of my creatures are huge? Yes. Yes, I am. So next turn, these two will get larger. I Pride for even larger. And I just attack all out. Math is for blockers. I don't remember where I heard that. I think it was somewhere on SCG. But math is for blockers, not attackers. Vinemare? Aw. I don't care about Vinemare. I will absolutely block this. Yeah, I mean, before they at least had mana up. They do not have mana up now. Unfortunately, I drew another land. Kind of flooding out. But we're just going to go ahead and attack with everyone here. Guess I don't even Conquerors yet, because I don't have much value. I'd be getting through for an additional, what, 8 damage? So it'd be 4, 8, 12? I'd put them to 5. So my opponent's going to lose 2 creatures, Darn, I'm really not sure if I should do it now. I think I should wait. Because right now none of my creatures are threatened. I also did forget they would have been 2 more. So they would have been at 14, right? Math is hard. I'm not doing math. Math is for blockers. Are you serious? Did it happen again? This is a problem. Well, now it's just my opponent is thinking, okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. Unless they're like full control and they had to like say yes to resolve. They're only on 3 cards. Let's see what they have. They could... I don't think they should have marched there. They could have marched for another one. I don't know why they didn't. Yeah, I think that's just they're bad. You know, once again, unfortunately, I think we just are attacking without using Pride. Yeah, because the game has been having weird disconnect issues, I have no idea if the game thinks, okay, now I can see, but until they did something, I had no idea if the game considered me disconnected, if the game considered, let's see, so they're getting 4, so they're at 15. I would only be... Alright. Never mind, I was going to talk about strategy and whatnot, but, I see you just wanted to go home and eat your sugar crisps. Let us buy another pack. The mono white deck, if you enjoy playing more aggressive strategies, totally make the deck. It's good. There have been a lot of versions that have like literally they have red lands just for Experimental Frenzy in the sideboard, which just, you know, it just goes to show that that card is stupid. Oh man, Experimental Frenzy is so evil. There we go. I'd like to thank Easy Mode, Dizzy Fam, Radberry Kyoshin, Daniel, Flowerchild, Jaraga, Mad Goes Bad for their wonderful support over on Patreon. If you'd like to join them and support the channel, you'll find links to that in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this disconnecting video. If you did, go ahead and tap that like button, add a subscription to your mana pool, and cast a comment to the comment section down below about the best way to not deal with that nonsense. Once again, I'm going to have to file a bug report, see if it gets any recognition at all. But yeah, until next time, all will be one.